Okay, great. So a little bit of my history. I actually was a real estate agent for over 30 years. Within 3 years of having my license, I was named the number one REMAX agent in the world. And what I want to talk about is how did I go from brand new in real estate and struggling to becoming the top REMAX agent in the world in 36 months? When I was struggling when I first got into the business, looking back at it now, it's when I was struggling, I was doing what most agents do. And so my observation is the more you behave and operate like all the other real estate agents, the more your results are going to look like theirs. And when I started doing the opposite of what all the other agents were doing, that's when I became really successful. So I'll give you an example. When I started, I did a lot of cold calling, door knocking, for sale by owners, expired listings, and I felt that I was poorly positioned because I was chasing them, and I didn't like doing that. Is any of you that are like me? You really don't like chasing people. For my personality, I really didn't like rejection. I didn't like that. So I became a student of direct response marketing and really understood very early in my career that it would be much easier if I could offer something that buyers and sellers wanted so badly that they would call me. And that's how I became successful. Is I offered something that buyers and sellers really, really wanted, so they were contacting me. And at the end of my second year, I had sold 55 homes by myself. And the next year, I sold 155 homes. And the next year, over 300 homes. And at the peak of my career, I was selling 500 to 600 homes a year, but I was working less than 40 hours a week because I had a team of agents doing most of the heavy lifting. And that explains my longevity because I was able to do this for 30 years, is I made it easy to make lots of money. And I'm sure that's what you want, right? You want to make more money, but you don't want to kill yourself. And I'm not saying this is a magic pill or I didn't, work at all. I'm just saying 40 hours a week was manageable for me. How many of you would be willing to work 40 hours a week? So we need to set up systems in our business to make sure that we're in front of high quality buyers and sellers. What's frustrating, what burns us out, the hard part of the business is getting in front of buyers that want to buy and can buy and sellers that are motivated to sell. If you take a look at what I did, how did I become the top REMAX agent in the world when honestly, I really didn't even know what I was doing? I only had my license for 36 months. There were lots of agents that were more experienced and were better negotiators and better salespeople than me. So that just goes to prove that marketing is so important. The opposite's true, right? Like there's a lot of agents in Chicago that are extremely competent. They're experienced, they're good negotiators, they're really good with buyers and sellers. Their challenge is they just don't have enough at bats. If we use the baseball analogy, I could be the world's, best hitter. I could hit the ball out of the park, but if the manager doesn't put me up to bat, I'm not going to get any home runs. So what the marketing part allowed me to do was to have more at bats. And because I was going out on a lot of listing appointments, I became good at it just through repetition. How many of you are golfers? If you golf like twice a year, do you get better? No, you just keep being bad, right? I know what you're saying is every once in a while you have a brilliant stroke and you think I can do this, right? But with my listing presentation, because I was out doing 3 or 4 listing appointments every single day, one smart thing I did is I learned very quickly what didn't work. So a lot of us make the mistake of talking to the seller about either ourselves, right, which they're usually not interested in that, and I made that mistake. Or I was talking about a bunch of things that weren't of interest to them. So I would watch their facial expression And you can tell when, when people are leaning in and they're interested, and you can also tell when people are not interested, right? So I'm watching you guys all right now to make sure that you're leaning in, because if I see anyone falling asleep, I know I'm losing you. But that's how it worked for me is in the beginning, my listing presentation was terrible. How do I know it was terrible? Because I didn't get any listings and I had no confidence. So I didn't expect to even get listings. My mindset was they're never going to list with me. And that was true. But through repetition, I started putting the right things in the right order and became really, really good at it. I'm not saying I got 100% of my listings, but probably 80%. Now, part of that success was I wasn't running out to meet with sellers that I didn't think were going to list. So I had a high respect for my time. I heavily qualified them. And my presentation became really, really good. Now, when I started to hire other people, and I don't know how many of you have a team, because I was really good at the listing presentation, it was fairly easy for me to show them how to do what I was doing. Right? So once you learn it and you're really good at it, now you've got the potential of showing other people how to do this. So in the second year, it's still me. It's only me. I don't have any assistants, but I'm a young guy. I'm not married, don't have any kids, and I'm able to throw myself into the business. So I'm working 50, 60 hours a week. I sell 155 homes, which was great because I got to keep all the money. But I'm getting tired. And the third year, I hired one assistant and I doubled my business. I don't up to 300 transactions, but I'm still working like 60, 70 hours a week, can't go on vacation. It's a great savings plan because I couldn't spend any of the money because I was working all the time, right? So couldn't go on vacation or do anything. But I started hiring agents at the end of the third year. And that's when my business really exploded. And so we go up to 400 transactions, 500 transactions, 600 transactions. And I'm now working less. So I felt that I turned the corner about year number 4 because the income kept going up, but my hours were going down. And I don't want to mislead anyone and say that, I was laying on a beach and everything ran by itself. That's not true. And I know people claim that. I was still working, but it was manageable. Like I think all of you are you're willing to work 40 hours a week. I just wasn't willing to work 60 or 70 hours a week anymore. Now, I did this for 25 years. So I was the top Remax agent or the top 1 or 2 or 3 Remax agents in the world for 25 years. And so that's why other real estate agents started to come to me to find out like what I was doing. And what I quickly realized is everything that I was doing had nothing to do with Craig Proctor, the person, because when I would show it to other people like Kirby or whoever wanted to know what I was doing, and they started doing what I was doing, they were starting to get the same results. So that's what I'm hoping for all of you today is I can share with you some of the things I've learned because in my experience, whoever does what I did starts to see immediate results. And if I could show you a better way of doing it, you're not going to go back to what you're doing now, right? Like if I show you how to make more money and it's easier and you like it better, it's not like you're going to wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to go back to working harder. I think every one of us wakes up every day and, I don't know anybody that says, I want to do a worse job today than I did yesterday. It's a human spirit. We want to get better and better and better at this. So I enjoy the teaching part of it, right? I really enjoy explaining it. And I became pretty good at explaining it just again through practice. So I wasn't born to do any of this. I just became good at it through repetition. Okay, so that's my background because I know you probably want to know why should I even listen to this guy? Because a lot of the coaches and trainers today, if you go into your Facebook news feed, honestly, if you just were to do that today, how many coaches, gurus, and experts would you see just on your news feed in Facebook, right? Everybody that's got a social media account is an expert. So whether I'm the person that you follow, I would make sure that whoever you're getting advice from has actually successfully done the thing they're talking about because there's way too many talking heads spewing advice and some of them have never even sold real estate before. Okay, so let's move. Let's fast forward to today. What are the challenges we have today? One of the big challenges is getting the buyers and sellers to answer the phone. How many of you would agree that that's worse now than it was before the pandemic? Okay, so it's a problem, right? Because what we've been told to do in this industry is we go out and we generate leads, we buy leads from Zillow, however you're buying and marketing your leads. But if we can't get the buyers and sellers to answer the phone, we can't qualify them and we can't tell them what we've got or how we're different or better than the other agents. And if we can't talk to them over the phone, we're not likely going to get to the kitchen table. One of the things that we've done to handle that is, how many of you are aware of something called funnels? A funnel is a series of emails and text messages and videos that we would send out to the prospect. So I want you guys to think of when a new lead comes. First of all, we want the buyers and sellers coming to us. We don't want to be cold calling or door knocking unless you like doing that. So when the leads are coming into the CRM, right now, your game plan is, I'm going to call them. And that's great for the, 1 in 20 or 1 in 50 you can get to pick up the phone. What we want to think of is what should happen in addition to us trying to get them on the phone as soon as the lead hits your CRM. So does that make, how many of you are doing that, by the way? How many of you would agree that it's way more likely that the prospects are going to read your email or read a text message versus answering the phone? So we want to cover our bases. Still getting them on the phone would be the best thing, but if we can't get them on the phone, we're going to program the CRM so we have an automated sequence of emails and text messages. Now, some of you might say, "Well, I've tried to do that before." Remember, it's what the secret is: what the emails say and what the text messages say. Because if I send out a terrible email, that's not going to work any better because they're not going to read it or they're not going to respond. So what we developed is, what should the emails say and the text messages say? And the emails and the text messages have a link to a video. Now, I want you to imagine on that video, you're just recording what you would say if you were sitting at the kitchen table with the prospect. Now, remember, our problem is, well, we can't get to the kitchen table because they won't answer the phone. So if they want to answer the phone, how do I tell them who I am and what I do and what makes me different? Now, I know you have that, whatever you want to call it, your elevator pitch, right? Like, if I was a home seller and I said to you, "Hey, tell me about you and what you do and what makes you different and better," you got 5 minutes. Everyone in the room, you could tell me that, right? If forced to say it in 5 minutes. So I want you to have that mindset. And what we're going to do is we're going to write a little script for you. And when the prospects that don't answer the phone, because right now you might have hundreds, maybe thousands of unconverted leads in your database. These are people you can't get on the phone. We could make money right now, you just emailing and texting the people you've already got. You've got money in that database. And so when they get the email, the text message, if they click on the video, this is basically how the video would go. "Oh, hi, I'm Craig Proctor. I'm with ABC Real Estate. The reason you're watching this video is you responded to whatever they responded to. You responded to my ad about whatever, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself, what makes me different, what makes me better, the services I provide." And then you want to make them some kind of offer. And we're going to talk about the offers that work today. The new call to action is, we don't want to drive these people to a website because, they're going to put in fake information or whatever. I want you to say at the end of the video. So you're saying, "Here's who I am. This is the company I work with. The reason you received this video, you're watching this video, is because you responded to this." And a little bit about yourself, whatever you would say in your elevator pitch about what makes you different and better. Now, the call to action is going to sound like this. The call to action, what you're going to say is, "If you'd like to reach me, call me. You can call me or text me on my cell number. It'll be me. It'd be me, Kirby. I'm going to be the one answering the phone. Let them know that this is going to be you answering the phone. And, you can call me anytime between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., Monday to Friday, or whatever your hours are." So we've had success better success converting the leads. There's no sense buying a bunch of leads from Zillow, for example. If you bought 1,000 leads from Zillow, honestly, on the phone, even if you're really diligent, how many of the 1,000 leads would you actually, be able to reach or speak to? So we want to do a better job getting people to call us so we don't have to buy leads from Zillow. Okay, I want you folks to be, in charge of your own destiny. I want you to understand marketing and what offers to make. The marketing part shouldn't really be delegated. It should be something that you understand and that you're in charge of, because it's your biggest rainmaker activity. Then we're going to have this conversion process that I described in place. That if all that works, you've got people coming at you and hopefully too many buyers and sellers. And I want to explain that for a minute, because you might be thinking, well, why would I want too many buyers and sellers? Anybody here work with a jerk? That's what we don't want, right? Would you guys agree that some of the buyers are better than other buyers and some of the sellers are better than other sellers? And so wouldn't it be great if we could wave a magic wand and if we had slightly more prospects coming to you than you could possibly handle, it would give you what we call the luxury of choice, right? Imagine if anyone, you get on the phone with somebody and they're rude to you or they give you any resistance at all. Imagine having the luxury of saying, you know what? Thanks, but have a nice day. I've got better people to work with. That's how we get rich in real estate. You see, the point I want to make is it wasn't that I had any special talents or abilities or skills. I only had my real estate license for 36 months, and I became the top RE/MAX agent in the world. So I wasn't the best salesperson, but I had the best marketing system, right? And if I can help you guys plug into this, everything changes. Now, I learned to become pretty good at the presentation. Yeah, I wasn't, but I learned to be through repetition. So let's back up the bus and look at what we've accomplished so far. We're realizing the problem we have, which is we got to differentiate ourselves from the other agents. We've got to offer something the buyers and sellers want so they come to us. And then because we can't get them on the phone, we need to have an automated conversion process so we have lots of appointments. Now, if we had more time, we could get into what should happen on these appointments. And I'll try to touch upon that if we've got time. I've got to be out of here at the top of the hour because I have another call. But hopefully you like this and you guys want me back again, right? If not, you'll be, thank God it's over. So is this making sense so far?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the offers that we should make in the first place. What is it that, let's start with buyers. What's our big offer? If you were talking to a buyer today and it was a good buyer and it's a buyer you want to work with, what would you say to that buyer?
What I usually offer is I can send you all of the good deals in the area.
Good. Okay. That's a good start. Now, let's see if we can even sharpen that up. What would be the good deals? Let's be specific. What would that mean? What are the good deals that we could get a hold of that the buyers can't find on their own by just doing a Google search?
Bank-owned, corporate-owned properties.
See, Kirby's been a great student for years. Okay, so I'm going to share with you what my top members are doing from all over the country. So when we get into real estate, myself included, the offer that I was making, I just did what they told me to do. And what they told me to do is they told me to say to a buyer, hey, I can get you access to all the homes on the MLS. Now, back in the 1990s, that worked. But today, all the buyers know that they can get information on all the homes that are publicly available on the MLS from 14 different portals, right? Zillow, Redfin, etc. But still today, a lot of real estate agents, that's their big offer to buyers, is I can get you, what they're really saying is, hey, buyer, I can get you access to the homes that are on the internet. And then they're frustrated and surprised when the buyer says, no, I'm good, right? And that's literally the same offer that every other agent is making. So If you have a pen handy or you want to type this in the notes in your phone, I'm going to give you some ideas of things that buyers really like. And if you change, if this will cost you $0, if you just change the words that come out of your mouth, I promise you, if you say what I'm about to say, way more buyers will agree to meet with you. Sound fair? So I'm going to give you something that costs you $0, and you're just doing what you do now. You're still talking to buyers, but we're going to change the words, and hopefully this works better for you. Okay. First, I'll give you the things, and then we'll put the language together. So one thing that we've found that is very successful is access to new construction homes, including builder closeouts. So a lot of builders have had buyers walk away, and the builders, I'm sure there's some builders in your area, and there doesn't have to be many, right? If there's like one new builder, you can talk about getting the buyers access to new construction homes, right? Or builder closeouts or standing inventory. Now, I'll tell you why that works. New construction has an appeal to a certain buyer, like a new car versus a used car. And this is information that the buyer can't easily get on their own by, going to Zillow. Bank foreclosures, distress sales, even just saying I can get you access to unlisted and off-market homes. Now, inside of Craig Proctor Coaching, we actually have a letter that we send out on behalf of the buyer in the neighborhood that they're interested in, right? So if Kirby said to me, hey, Craig, I want to live in Glenway Estates, this is how I would get Kirby. Okay, first of all, this is what I used to say. Hey, Kirby, I could email you all the houses in Glenway that are on the internet. That used to work, right? Today, Kirby, you'd say, well, I'll just go to Zillow for that. Like, what do I need you for? Right? So today, this is what I would say to Kirby. Hey, Kirby, not only can I get you access to all the homes that are available on MLS, all the homes that are publicly available, but some of the best deals never make it to the open market. Plant that seed. Some of the best homes never make it to the open market. I can also get you access to unlisted, off-market, bank foreclosures, distress sales, and builder closeouts. It's absolutely free of charge. Would you like to get access to those as well? As soon as I started saying that, the buyers are like, because the buyers, they don't know how to get that, right? So now they're leaning in, right? That's what we want to watch. As soon as they start leaning in, that now, so that's all I did. I practiced with a whole bunch of language that didn't work until I found things that worked. That was really what made me successful. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to practice with a whole bunch of things. And when I found things that worked, I kept tweaking them and making them better. So what's the bottom line here? The thing that we want to be offering buyers is access to homes, proprietary access to homes that they can't get on their own. As long as we're offering them access to homes that they can get without us, that's what they're going to do. You see, many of the buyers believe that they don't need a real estate agent to find a house. So we got to shake their confidence a little bit and say, hey, yeah, we can get you access to all the homes in MLS, but some of the best homes never even make it to the open market. Would you also like to get access to unlisted, off-market, bank foreclosures, distress sales, and builder closeouts? What do you think they're going to say? Works a lot better, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you probably, the next question you would have is, well, gee, Craig, that sounds great. It makes total sense. But how do I get access? I don't want to lie to people. I don't want to tell them that I can get access to bank foreclosures and distress sales and builder closeouts if that's not true. We have special training, and we show you how to get access to those properties. Kirby knows how to get access to a lot of those properties. So this is going to be our offer to buyers. Now, when we meet with the buyer, we're supposed to get the buyer signed up to a buyer agency agreement before we show them any properties, right? How do we do that? More difficult, right? Back in the day, I could say to Kirby, hey, Kirby, let's go to lunch. I'll show you, 20 houses. We'll build a relationship. And when you find a house you like, then we'll sit down and we'll do the buyer contract and we'll talk about how I get paid. We can't do that today, right? We have to talk about them pay. It's an awkward conversation. Hi, nice to meet you. Let's talk about how I get paid and get you to sign this contract. So I've been teaching the Craig Proctor members for 10 years how to get paid directly from the buyer or negotiate their own fee versus accepting whatever is offered on MLS. Right? I believe these NAR changes are the best thing to happen to our industry because for most agents, up until August 17th of last year, when you were working with the buyer, you didn't decide what you got paid. Somebody else decided. The listing agent decided, or the seller decided. Where now today, we can negotiate our own fee. So when we meet with the buyer, I know what we want. We want the buyer to commit to us, sign a buyer agency agreement, and we want to negotiate whatever, 4%. And we're going to try to get the seller to pay for it. That's what we're going to try to do. So what we need to do in this buyer presentation is we need to do something called value stacking. How many of you are familiar with value stacking? Okay, so what are some of the things that we could offer the buyer so the buyer wants to do what we want, which is to sign the buyer agency agreement and to pay us a premium fee? So what are we going to do other than email them the listings on MLS? Other than saying, well, I'm a great agent. I've lived in Chicago for 17 years. I really try hard. I'm a negotiator. Like all that stuff. I'm not saying it's not good, but let's be honest. That's what all the agents say, right? And it's assumed, right? It's like if we went to a restaurant, we assume the waiter's going to give us good service, right? Like, it's kind of funny. Well, if you work with me, I'm going to provide you good service. Well, I'm kind of expecting that, right? I'm a good negotiator. Well, I'm not expecting you to be a bad negotiator. It's like when I go to a restaurant, I expect the food to be good. I expect the service to be good. So we can't be talking about basic things that the consumer should expect. So here are some of the things that we can do to value stack inside that buyer presentation. So one we already talked about, which is we're going to get you access to the hard to find good deals. Right? See, that's what you said. You said good deals. All I'm doing is I'm saying, well, let's be a bit more specific about that. Right? But that's what they hear. Now, the good deals, by the way, have nothing to do with reality. How many of you would have ever seen a bank foreclosure that's a bad deal? Right? You look and go, that's a terrible deal. But the buyers, what they perceive, because it's a bank foreclosure, oh, well, that must be a great deal, even though we know as realtors, that's actually not a good deal. But that's why the language is very important, because we're catering to their perceptions. So here are some of the things that we can offer the buyers. Number one, they want houses. So we're going to say, we'll get you access to all the homes on MLS. Also, we can get you access basically to the good ones. I like to use this language. I'll say to the buyer, hey, have you ever noticed that the homes on MLS seem to be kind of overpriced and picked over? Right? I plant that seed and a lot of them will nod their head and say, yeah, that's because a lot of the best deals they don't even hit the open market. They sell before they hit the open market. A lot of investors buy off-market properties. They don't buy homes that are available on the MLS or, they've been on MLS for 3 or 4 months. So we can get you access to the good deals. Okay, that's you tell me what you're looking for. And we'll even, if you said, I want to buy in Glenway Estates, we'll communicate with all the buyers in Glenway Estates, and we'll find out if anyone's thinking of selling. They're not even on the market yet. And we'll find those pre-market properties for you before any of the other buyers know about it, before any of the other agents know about it. You'll literally be the only buyer to know about this. Also, when you work with us, you're going to save money. How are they going to save money? What I talked about is I said, if you work with my lender can save you up to 0.5% on your mortgage. Now, on a 30-year term, that's going to be a savings for you of X amount of dollars. Also, I have a relationship with a title company that if you work with my title company, we're going to give you a $500 credit. Okay. Home inspection. Okay. If you work with our home inspector, I will give you a $500 credit. This is something I've negotiated, by the way, with my home inspector. If I send you somebody, you're going to knock off $500. So if you work, one of the benefits of working with me is you're going to get a $500 credit if you use ABC Home Inspection Company. And you're going to get a discount on the home warranty, or you could even buy them the home warranty because it's very inexpensive. So this is the stacking I'm talking about. You know, if you work with us, we're going to do this for you and this for you and this for you and this for you and this for you. At the end of this, I'm going to say something like this. Imagine you're the buyer, and I said to you, now based on what we've covered here today, would you like me to handle this for you? Now, they're either going to say yes, which means we're good to go, and I can go to the paperwork part of it, or they might say something like this, like, well, I'm not sure, or perhaps this, what do you charge? To which I would say, well, assuming we can agree on my fee, based on what we've talked about here today, would you like me to handle this? In other words, there's no sense talking about my fee unless they agree that I'm the person, like if I don't think I'm the best person to handle this, really doesn't matter what my fee is. And it's important that we isolate the fee, because how many of you made this mistake before? You go through the whole presentation, at the end of it, they say no, and you're like, well, I don't know what part they didn't like. What did they say no to my fee, or they didn't like what I did? So before we can handle an objection, we need to isolate it. So what I'm looking for is buy-in, right? They're leaning in. They're like, yeah, we'd like you to handle this. And they might want to know the fee. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. But assuming we can agree on the fee, you'd like to move forward with me. You'd like me to represent you. How are we going to handle the fee? I have a PowerPoint slide, and it says simply this. I'm going to try to get the seller to pay for my fee. Is that true? It is true. That doesn't mean I'm going to be successful, but I am going to try to get the seller to pay for my buyer fee through the proceeds of sale. And we show you guys how to, build that into the offer. Now, sometimes the seller will not pay for the fee, and the buyer's going to have to be responsible for some or all of my fee. If the buyer balks, like in pitching, the pitcher balks, if the buyer doesn't sign up, there's a couple places where you and I can go. One of the little documents I pull out of my briefcase is called the $5,000 cash savings guarantee. And I only use this when I need it, right? It's like a little toolbox I have, and out of my toolbox, I'm going to pull out whatever I need. So I would explain to the buyer, another benefit of working with me is any home that you purchase using my services, I guarantee to save you X amount of dollars, or I'll reduce $500 off my fee on closing. So I don't know what number makes sense for you. Like, it depends on your price range. What we want to do is make the biggest promise we can both make and keep. So you look at, the last 10 buyers you sold, on average, how much money did I sell them? Because we want to make a promise. It sounds good, but we want to be able to keep it so we don't have to reduce the 500. But even if I had to reduce $500 or $1,000 off my fee, if this guarantee certificate helped me get the buyer to sign the buyer agency agreement, and I made a $30,000 commission, I don't really care about $500, right? Like, am I down 500 or am I up 29,500 because I got the client to buy a house, right? There's other guarantees we can make as well. One of the guarantees that I like to make is, I said, also, when you buy a home using my services, I guarantee you're going to love the house. I'm not one of these realtors that's just going to like slam dunk you into a house. I want to make sure it's the right house for you. So Kirby, any house you buy using my services, if you're not thrilled with that home, anytime within 18 months, you call me. I'll help you find another house, and I won't even charge you a listing fee on this house. I'll sell your house for free. Okay? Again, I'm only using these when I need to. The third guarantee, and I don't like to go here, I know you guys don't like to go here either, but I can pull out the 100% cancellation agreement. Because sometimes what they fear is the commitment. It's like, I like you, but I just met you, and I don't want to be locked in. Like, what if I decide next week I don't like you? Well, we have a 100% satisfaction, or whatever you want to call it, guarantee. It's a very important document here. It's an unconditional guarantee. That means if I don't keep all my promises, whatever reason you change your mind on me, you can cancel the buyer agreement and you can work with any other agent. Now, those guarantees, usually you're not going to need them. Okay, do we have any hockey fans here? What do we do at the end of the game when your team is down? There's a minute left and your team's down by a goal. We pull the goalie. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pull the goalie, right? If we're not going to lose the business, I've got these guarantees in my briefcase. I'm going to use them if I need them. Right? I'm going to pull the goalie. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to start with the $5,000 cash guarantee. We're going to start with the you're going to love your home or we'll sell it for free guarantee. Or if I have to, and I hate to do this, but if I have to, I'll even give you I don't say this, I'll even give them a all out 100% cancellation guarantee. So I became really, really good at this buyer presentation. I became so good at it that I was able to teach other people on my team how to do what I was doing. Now, as soon as they could get the same conversion rate as me, do you know how I felt? I'm free. Think about you. If you could send someone out to get the same results that you could get, like you could work on other things or, have a life. And that's what I was able to do. And so I grew my team out and they did a lot of the heavy lifting. Again, I'm still working, but I'm able to work 40 hours a week and I'm selling 500 to 600 homes a year. That explains my longevity in this business. We have to make being successful easy, right? Because if it's you see a lot of agents, they come into the business and they can do the sprint, but they can't do the marathon. How many of you have noticed other agents that come in and they run like heck and they're really successful, but they burn out in a year or two? And it's like, oh, what happened to that guy? Oh, he burned out. He's selling insurance this year. Let's go over to sellers. We've been talking a lot about buyers, like the buyer offer and the automation and the marketing and the presentation. We're gonna go over to the seller part because I got to be out of here in about 20 minutes. Before I go to the seller side, is there any questions that you have about the buyer side of the business?
They use the 100% cancellation agreement, and nobody's ever canceled on me, and it works.
Absolutely. Yep. These guarantees are really something you shouldn't be afraid of because I don't think, Kirby, I've ever had anyone that I gave the buyer satisfaction guarantee, like you're going to be happy in your house within 18 months or I'll sell it for free. I don't think I've ever had anyone within 18 months call me and say, I don't like the house. I want you to sell it for free. So how many of you are okay with offering things that sound great that aren't going to hurt you? Right? These are things that are going to help us. So we're basically making guarantees that are not going to hurt you. My guaranteed sale program, we get to sellers. I made millions of dollars with my guaranteed sale program, and I think I bought 2 or 3 houses in 30 years. And I still own them today, and I made a lot of money. Like, none of this is to be feared. It's to be understood. If we understand something, it's not going to be scary. It's just math, right? Let's swing over to the seller side of things. I'm going to ask you guys the same question. You got a seller on the phone. It's a good seller. They're in a good neighborhood. They're motivated. What's our big offer that we're going to say to the seller to get in front of this seller?
Sellers want buyers.
Sellers want buyers. Okay, that's one good thing. Here's what most agents say. Most agents today, when they're trying to market to a seller, would offer something like a free home evaluation. Well, my favorite is a CMA. What's a CMA? Country Music Awards? I don't even know what that means. No. Well, Craig, a CMA is what is their house going to be worth? Well, why don't we just say that? The problem is if our big offer to sellers is what is your home worth? Where do a lot of sellers think they can go to find out what their home is worth today? Zillow, Redfin. You've been there before, right? You get to their house and they think they're telling you what their house is worth. They're like, yeah, I visited, hey, Kirby, I visited Zillow said my house is worth this. Redfin said my house is worth this. And if they've been to 3 of those sites, which price does the seller think their house is worth? Whatever website told them the highest price, exactly. So the problem we have is if our big offer today is a free home evaluation, or I can tell you what the houses on your street sold for, the sellers believe they don't need a real estate agent for that. Rightly or wrongly so, that's what they believe. So our big offer to get sellers can't be to want to know what your house is worth. I'm going to give you a small tweak on this that really worked well for me. And I'm going to explain how I came up with this. When I would go to do a CMA, one of the things, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing, is I go through a net sheet. How many of you go through a net sheet with the seller? And because the seller the most important number to the seller is what am I going to net in my pocket? So what comes off? Okay, we're going to list it at this. It's probably going to sell. Your commission, your mortgage penalty. We take off all the fees. Hey, seller, this is what you're going to net in your pocket. The other thing that I became really good at, I'm sure you guys are good at it as well. What's another thing we do when we get to their home? We look at the house, right? You plunk your briefcase down in the kitchen. You look around at the house. How many of you would say you're pretty good at giving the seller free advice on inexpensive things that they could do to sell their home for, say, $5,000 or $10,000 more? Okay, so I did that for years. Boom. Then I had an epiphany. I thought, oh my God, I do all these great things that they like. After I get to their house, I'm going to back up the bus and I'm going to make that part of my offer. Instead of saying, would you like to know what your house is worth? I changed the language to say this. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you like to know what you're going to net in your pocket after all the expenses? Right? That's the most important number. That they don't know how to find online. They can't go to Zillow, right? Also, it gets better, right? Also, when I get to your home, I can show you inexpensive things that you can do to sell your home for $5,000 to $10,000 more. Now, let's back up the bus. What do you think works better? Okay. Original Craig Proctor, would you like to know what your house would sell for? Would you like to know what the homes on the street have sold for? And the seller says, no, I can go to Zillow and find that. Or the new version of, would you like to know exactly what you're going to net in your pocket after all the expenses? And by looking at your home, I can give you inexpensive tips to help you sell your home for $5,000 to $10,000 more. Absolutely free service. You're never obligated to buy a home. When would be a good time for us to meet? Mornings or afternoons? Do you see what I did? I did it the wrong way and it didn't work. I'm the same guy. I'm in the same marketplace. All I literally did was change the words that came out of my mouth. And it started to work. And so this is what I hope for all of you guys today is that just be open to learning or doing different things, because you may be just a small tweak away from having a massive change. I can just say that from my own experience. When I started in real estate, I had no money. I had no confidence. I'd never sold anything in my life before, but I liked it. I liked the marketing part of it. And I'm going to encourage you to become a student of marketing. Okay, let's learn what to offer the buyers and sellers. The next question is where do we offer that? It's more complicated today than when I first got in when Kirby and I first got into real estate, there was one way to advertise. That was in the newspaper or maybe direct mail. Today, it's more confusing, right? We have, today, my clients are on Facebook. They're running free ads on Facebook Marketplace. They're running paid ads on Facebook. We're running ads on YouTube. We're running content on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. You now, whether you like it or not, are forced into becoming a content creator. So we can focus on what are the big questions that buyers and sellers have. We're going to be on video and we're going to offer them really great information, and they're going to feel like they know us and they like us. And some of them are going to call us because we're going to offer something they want. I'm just going to prove everything I just said here. How many of you are getting a feel of you feel like you know me a little bit. We've never met before, have we really? Like we haven't met in person. I didn't call you on the phone. I didn't call you and say, hey, I'm doing this presentation today. This is the power of video. It's actually great because we can, like I just presented to whatever, a dozen of you or 15 of you here today. So the same way where I just gave you a really good presentation, but I didn't come to your house, I'm not sitting at the kitchen table. This is the opportunity that we have with video, right? We get the prospect, once the prospect hits the CRM, a bunch of automated things are going to happen. Emails are going to go out, text message, even a ringless voicemail. The emails and the texts are going to link to a video. And the video is your opportunity to do what? To say, here's who I am. This is what I got. This is what makes me different and better. And the call to action is give me a call. My name's Kirby. Here's my direct number. I'll be the one answering the phone. You can reach me Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you so much for watching this. So we're going to be pushing out all the great stuff that you do. Here's the thing. If we could just get everyone in your marketplace to understand all the great things that you do, and they feel like they know you, they will call you. Right? So it's just a matter of communicating what makes you different, what makes you better, like what you've got. And when they consume enough of your content, they just start calling you. How many of you have had that experience before where you walk into the foyer of their home and they're like, oh, I can't even believe you're here today. Right? I see you everywhere. That's what we want because the marketing is doing the heavy lifting for us. Right? What we don't want to have to do anymore is what I call uphill battle selling. Right? It's exhausting, right? You get there, it's like, yeah, well, we're interviewing you, we're interviewing 2 other agents. How low is your commission? I got tired of that, right? So I realized I need an in-between step. Before I meet with them, I need to pre-sell them on who I am and what makes me different and better, so it's more of a slam dunk when I get there. It's a good sign when I get there and they're like, oh, we see you everywhere. We can't even believe you, we can't believe you're here. That's good, right? And I walk into the kitchen and I see they've got their tax bill in the survey on the kitchen table. That's what I want. I want to try to create that pre-selling situation, so I don't have to go through this long presentation, and it's going to be much easier for me to get the fee. Now, one of the things that Kirby said when I asked early in our presentation, I said, what do the sellers want? Kirby said, well, the sellers want buyers. So I'm going to leave you guys today with a beautiful script. Kirby's heard it 100 times before, but this is something I came up with, an example of me just figuring out something great in my presentation. I want you to pretend you're the seller. This is called the Craig Proctor Buyers in Waiting program. So you're the seller. I walk into your house and we sit down, we go through the presentation, and I have all of these steps. What I figured out is what to say first, second, third, and so on. In the beginning, I want to share this with you. It's so important. I made the mistake early in my career of being so stupid. I was talking about what I thought was important to the seller. For example, I might go on about open houses and how I did open houses, just to find out later in the presentation, the seller says, yeah, we hate open houses. That's stupid, right? So what I came to learn is I do something called a discovery in the beginning. Now, this is crazy, but I would say to the seller, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know that I understand you're meeting with 2 other agents. May I ask you, what exactly are you looking for in an agent? Like, what is your selection process? And if I'm doing a good job, the seller will literally tell me how to sell them. It sounds great. It was so easy. So they would tell me, well, we had our house listed before, it didn't sell. Communication's really important to us. We want all the things that they wanted. I would build into my presentation. They never knew this. I was always amazed that they didn't see what I was doing. They would literally tell me what was important to them, and I would I would bury that into my presentation. And at the end of the presentation, you know what they'd say? You sound like you're perfect for us, like you checking all the boxes. They didn't see that they literally told me what was important. And I repeated it back in the presentation. At the end of it, they're like, yeah, you sound like you're perfect. Okay, so in part of the presentation, I have something like this. Okay, I have a list, and on the list, okay, let's pretend I'm at your house. On this list, I've got 147 buyers. And I say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, in preparation for our meeting today, I took the liberty to go to my CRM, and I have 147 buyers that are looking to buy a home here in Glenway Estates. Now, I know that, you know, the first thing I would do, should you decide to list with me, the first thing I would do is I would email pictures and detailed information out to the 147 buyers that I have. And I hand them the list, and it's literally got the names of all the buyers. Now, these, I'm not saying that these are buyers in my database that are looking in the northeast part of town. It doesn't mean they've signed a buyer contract. How many of you have a lot of buyers in your database and you could print them out? So I hand them the list, and I'm looking at the husband and wife, and they're looking at this like, oh my God, this guy's got a lot of buyers. And they're going through sheets and sheets. Now, here was the language I developed. I said, you know, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's almost like I was looking for a buyer for your home before you and I even met today. Pause. What seed have I planted? Who's got all the buyers? Then I say this. I understand you're meeting with 2 other agents. Did the other 2 agents you meet with, did they tell you about how many buyers they currently have for your neighborhood? No, Craig. All the other agents wanted to talk about is, should we list with them, what they would begin to do, what they would start to do to try to find a buyer for our home. So having the sellers come to the conclusion that Craig's the guy with all the buyers, having them come to that conclusion on their own, was way more powerful than telling them the conclusion. Can you see? I could have said, hey, I have 147 buyers here. I got more buyers than the other agents, but I didn't do it that way. I said, you know, in preparation for our appointment, I ran through your property information. I've got 147 buyers. They're looking for a home like yours in this location. And should you decide to list with me, the very first thing I would do is I'd send detailed information and pictures of your home out to the 147 buyers. Sometimes we get a hit right away. Sometimes we get multiple offers. It sounds crazy, but it's almost like I've been looking for a buyer for your home before you and I even met today. Now, at the end, if I'm feeling really confident, you know, sometimes you feel like, okay, I feel confident. I feel like I've got this one. I'll say this. So you've met me and the 2 other agents. May I ask this question? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, who do you think the buyers in town would more likely call? Myself or one of the other 2 agents that you met with? And if I read the room right, they say, well, obviously, Craig, the buyers would be more likely to call you. To which I'd say, then why would you want to list with them? Boom, slam dunk, right? And they kind of smile and they're like, okay, that was good. So these are just examples of scripts that I came up with that really worked well. We didn't get into other things, like there's guarantees that I offer the sellers as well. The big guarantee, the mother of all guarantees, is if I don't sell your house, I'll buy it. Right? Like that's hard to top, right? Yeah, we met with 2 other agents. Well, I give you an upfront guarantee that if I don't sell your home for the upfront price that I promise you in writing, I'll actually buy the house for that price. How does that work? Well, we market your home for 120 days. I don't want to buy your house, but if we sell your home for more than the guarantee, which is what normally happens, you always get the highest price. If it doesn't sell within the 120-day period, at least you know upfront in writing what that guarantee would be. We could offer other guarantees, like if you're not happy with me at any time, you can cancel the listing. How about this? Something a little maybe less scary would be if you agree to list your home, if we come to a price that's agreeable to both of us, I guarantee to get you an offer on your home in 60 days or less, or I'll deduct $1,000 from your home when it does sell. So again, there's a series of guarantees that we can offer the buyers. We're only going to use those when we need them, right? How many, if the seller, when I get there and the seller's ready to sign and pay me 7% or whatever, how many of you think I'm going to any of the guarantees? I don't need to talk about that, but I have these things in my briefcase. If I need to go there, if I need them, I've got them.
Hey, Greg, Austin Pearson here. Couple of quick questions. So, what are some of the ads that are working really well for you now to just get them on the phone? Is it just a video of ourselves value stacking that you're putting on, all the socials and YouTube and all that stuff? What are some of the better ads that are working these days?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got a whole coaching site with dozens of them. So if I go to our coaching site, I click on the ad generator, all of the ads that are proven to work. If we go under the ad generator, see right here, everything is right here. So we have a toggle switch. So if you want to just target sellers, you would click on sellers, and all the seller campaigns come up. So here's all the guarantees. Now, remember, one of the easiest ways to get a seller is to get the seller to respond first as a buyer, right? So, for example, I'll show you how this works with the new construction campaign. So, new construction. So this is how easy it is. So first of all, this is a placeholder. So I would, I'm going to take a house, a new construction house in Chicago. That's not it, but this type of property here. And so I'm going to type in Chicago, right? I'm going to type in Chicago here, and it's going to fill in Chicago. And this is a Facebook ad. Look how easy it is. Click on Generate Facebook Ad, and there it is. For our coaching members, we actually just run the ad for them. We do it for them on Facebook. So you're asking, well, how do I get sellers? Well, most of the prospects, the buyers that call about the list of new construction homes are going to have a house to sell. So even though this appears that I'm trying to get a buyer, this is a great way to get listings. So we're offering like the move-up property to get the seller to respond as a buyer. Now, I'll tell you why that's important. It's important because most home sellers are not going to list their house until they find something first. How many of you right now might have people that want to list they would list their house if you could find them something else? So to answer your question, the best way to get the listing is to get that home seller to respond first as a buyer. And that's why we want to offer unlisted off-market new construction, because many of your clients have looked at all the houses on MLS and they can't find anything, right? So we got to find them we got to find them the inventory today. So what we're selling is a home finder service. Instead of trying to sell them a house, it's like, well, we've got a service that'll help you get access to all the homes that are on the market and all the homes that are not yet on the market, including distress sales, bank foreclosures, and builder closeouts. If I can find that homeowner a house, then I know I'm going to get their listing. All right, I got to jump here. It is 1 o'clock. I hope you guys enjoyed this today. It was a pleasure meeting everybody. Yeah, if you guys are interested, we can do this again. Want to help all you guys out. Let this sink in. Maybe we can do another session at another point. But I just kind of did a wide array of things that I thought would be important to talk about in the short period of time we had today. So thank you so much for having me in here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you all next time. Take care.
Hey, what do we all think? Good. A couple of things I wanted to add to that. So some of those ads we can help you guys put together. We have in the CRM. If you guys put in a listing, you can spit out all of the buyers that will match in your CRM automatically. If you guys ever want to set up a time to talk to me, I can show you guys how to spit that out. So you do that before you go to your listing appointment. It's really cool because it will show the exact number, and what it does, it doesn't pick their names and phone numbers. when it does, it will start it up and it will look like a full-on sheet and where their stages are, really, really cool report. Their CRM spits out, before you go to the listing appointment, so it's a really cool tool. And then the ads, I think one of the biggest things, and I wanted to talk with him about for lead generation, I think a lot of, it's one of the best conversion and scripts and everything. I think understanding that really is what you have to know inside and out, memorize, be really, really good at it. You know, everybody had the elevator pitch, but like, that's perfecting it. And once you get that, then you understand what the ad is that you put out there to get the phone number to call them first, right? Like what he said at the beginning is, you know, unless you really like cold calling, right? We tend to like warm leads and getting back to everybody there, but how do you get those people to call to begin with? And if you, one of the things that I see a lot with, you know, one of the struggles with you, you don't have the ads out there, right? Where, you know, it's like fishing, right? If you have, how many fishing poles can you have in the water? You're gonna probably have more odds on catching more fish. And then, you know, some of the ads, you had a new construction one, that's great, right? But what about a distress one, right? What about, you know, different types, and we have all of the access to that.
We have all the ads.
We had it for 15 years, this is literally what we choose to start Pearson. And so we have access to all of that, and I can go through and give you guys ideas. You know, empty nester ad, right? Hey, wanna know what to do if you're an empty nester, what are the biggest downfalls for empty nesters? That's a Stellar specific one. A lot of other good ideas like that. You gotta make sure that you have the ads out there. You know, Alex here does a great job. He loves Zenlist, right? And Zenlist, right, is Craig's big thing about off-market homes is he can provide buyers access to them. How many ads do you have out there offering people access to off-market homes, and then you send them Zenlist?
Weekly, quite a few, yeah.
Right? And so one of the big things is ask yourself, how many ads do you have out there, how many different places? And, you know, over my career, what I saw is I started to build that slowly, and this one's still running, and this one's still running, and then I got so many that I gotta write them down and organize them. But I don't really have, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this one lead source, and a new lead comes in, right? And so then you have all in your CRM, your central nervous system, where you can have a million lead sources out there, but organize them all in one place.
Marketing is testing the market. If you're going to run an ad, it doesn't work, you do another one. You know, that one is working, and then you leverage, you put more money.
Changing the bait on the fishing poles out there,
We
right?
used to do that, I mean, us used to run, all kinds of ads in heat, man, this timber rocks in Chicago, you know. It was amazing, we had so many buyers.
There's so many people that like neat book, they don't want a cookie cutter home. But I said, you know, click here to find all the locks in the city, if you guys wanna talk to me after this and how it's set up. You know, not only your website to show them just lock, right? I can show you guys how to specifically go through. That when they click on your ad, they can see lock 1, lock 2, and then on the third one, it says, you gotta enter your info, right? You can change it to be after 10. You can change it to be after 0, they answer it first. And then it automatically sets up a drip campaign with those loans in there. And then your goal is to get on the phone and to meet them first, right?
You thought you would say to them.
Right, he taught you what to say to get me there, but the biggest thing that I wanted to make sure to stress for you guys is how many ads you have out there to be able to even get to the conversation that he has, right? And one of the things that I took away from this today that I need to do more is by sending videos to new clients, right? And I do a really good job when I call them, you know, he said a lot of people don't answer, I text them right away and I do value stacking right in my text. And then I plan a little doubt and I leave them with something that I tell myself, what is something that I can offer them that it would be crazy if they said no, you know, right? You know, and if they say no, I think they're probably not interested anyway, right? And you know what I mean? So it's like, if they're not willing to buy free, right? They're not buying anything at all. So that's one of the things that I think that in a text message. But what I took away from that is I'm also gonna send a video of myself And at the time, and you can even send a text message of, what your value statement is, here's, hey, would you like to meet, I can do this, off market, blah, blah, blah. I don't actually ask them to meet to start with, but, maybe a qualifying question, just to get them to say, oh, yeah, I am Austin, yeah, sorry, you know what I mean, like, just something obvious. But then a video too, right, so that they see you, and that's one of the things that I took away from today that I'm gonna start using more. And our CRM has the ability to do video mass messaging and video bonds, but also just individually, on the iPhone, a blue message shows delivered, right? And just an individual personalized video to people. Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Any questions? Did you guys add anything? Yeah.
How do you expect us to stay here when in Canada, he's killing it, 4%, 7%? 5% is amazing. I'm good here.
I don't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and he grew his business in a town of like 200,000 people. So, and we've been following him since before I had a license. Some of the ads that I put out were classified ads in the newspaper, and it was in 2009. Google was kind of just coming out, and they didn't even have the paid section of Google. I don't even know if Google was making revenue. Right, and we put out, free lists with pictures, because people weren't getting homes at the time with pictures of the inside. And we were getting people to inquire. That was one of the first ads we ever did. And one of the second ads that we did was Google Paper. You know how it was on the right side really long ago, and it didn't have sponsored, now they changed was, they have it in between. And we were getting thousands of people to inquire about, I want to see some foreclosures, right? And so that was one of the ads that was out there that was really successful.
So that's the market, money, that's, we gotta do it, we gotta do it.
And we started building the business, and then building our, our pool of sellers, and then you get an investor as a reoccurring, and then you build and build and build.
We have monthly call conversion training, we had some agents. And they came in and they said, I'm afraid to call people, and I'm like, okay, and we sat and called. And they were shaking in their boots, and they called and they called and they called, and we're like, I'm actually pretty good at this, and so come to the call conversion training.
That was a power hour, just some time that we set aside, I struggle to, tie myself down. One of the biggest things is I have to keep my pipeline fast, right? So how do I tie myself down to go and just talk? So that's one thing that we did with all the agents. We had pizza, and we just called. We had one agent has a listing appointment on Saturday or Sunday this weekend that we're actually gonna be helping her.
She got just from our power hour call. I guess if you're not good at calling, you don't want to call somebody luxury sellers, start small and get your rep down.
And then
we have all the scripts too.
So credit track, we have these recorded calls, right, with all of this stuff on our agent center. So if you guys ever want to listen to that call conversion training, we put them on the agent center, and you can listen to the past. It's Craig or one of the other mentors in the coaching program to go through it, and they do some role play. And Craig talks about all of the principles that he talked about today on the role play. That's great for conversion. Right, great for conversion. One of the biggest things is how do you get the phone number to call? How do you get them to raise? I think of it like I'm teaching a class in the biggest classroom you have at a college, right? What are you gonna do? Is go through and do office hours every single time with every single one of the students to teach them? No, you gotta say, hey, who's interested in learning about get them to raise their hand, and you have a small pool of people that you can then focus on, right? So what are your ads out there? And so we have the ad generator that we can help you guys with. If you're looking to come up with new content, Tim's going to help you. If you share your ad manager portal with him in your social media account, we can even help you implement and run those ads. Specifically, we do a lot of that. That's where some of our company generated business comes from as well.
One thing I want to say is There are a lot of people out there at the parties, and people ask their real estate agent, how's the market doing? I think that's something really good to say. You should know the market and know the stats and have something really good to say. Somebody asks you, how's the market doing? And you want to get your scripts down. You're calling a buyer, you should have that script down right here and be able to spill it. You're talking to a seller, you should have your script down and read it. So those really things I think are really important for all of us. And we all help each other out, like, Wendy, you can call me and say, hey, I'm calling a seller, and I'll say, ring, ring, and you can practice your script with me or Jenny or Kim or Austin. Practice with us. We're all here to help each other.
Any other questions about what we talked about today, general stuff, outside of what we talked about today?
If what I got from him was right, he was saying we need to film elevator pitches for ourselves and include them in our first text or first email that gives us an introduction to ourselves. If we want to do that, if everybody wants to do that, we've got all the toys here, just go sit in one of the offices, throw a lot of mic on you, just talk to the camera, you can get that done for free right now.
I love that, and we love, and that's great, we want to start doing more video, getting in front of people, talking about different things. And the more and more clients see, like he said, they're gonna get to know you, feel comfortable with you, and listen to what you're saying. Yeah. Anything else, anybody else,
No, excellent, I thought it would.
Well, I want to say big thank you to Tim. I think he's trying to walk out for helping us put all of this together. Thank you so much, Tim. I'm with the office support. They do such a great job with helping us put all of this together. So Jenny and Kim and Gabriella, Tom, thank you guys very much for helping us. And I'm excited. Craig promised us another one, so I was a little starstruck at the beginning. I was like,
He's famous. I think
I'm listening for 15 years.
out of the top 100, the top 100 volume agents in Canada and North America, 50% of them trained by Craig Proctor. It's an amazing statistic.
Yeah. First time caller, long time listener. Thank you guys all for coming to. If you guys want to meet with me individually, one-on-one, you guys always know how to reach me. Happy to sit down and do. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.